Okay, what we're going to go over is the time schedule, and it's already been done, and the time schedule is 7 a.m. The unit goes into what's called normal hours, and normal hours means the switches are locked out and all the lights in the public areas turn on. That would be the corridors and the lobby. And that's for the first floor only. The first floor system is a separate system than the second through fifth floor. That's its own system, and we're going to go over that one next. The time that the lights go to the next phase, which would be after hours, is 8 p.m. After hours means the lights turn off, same areas, the lobbies, the corridors, and the switches become activated. So now you can turn the lights on and off as you pass through the areas using the switches. And there are switches in the lobby, in the corridors. So if you wanted to change those times, you do it with the remote, which I've showed you before. We used it for other things. So we'll turn it on. And because it's infrared, you could point at any infrared device. But on the first floor, if you remember in previous tapes what I had said, there's 3 panels. The schedule is being driven from a panel, but not all 3 panels in the case of this first floor. Only the B panel. The reason I programmed it and made the B panel masters because on the second floor, where they only have 1 panel on each floor, and we're using the schedule in the second floor panel, which is also on the B riser. So you come to the panel, and there's a little infrared receiver here. It actually says IR silk screened on it, and that's what we're going to aim at. Now, like I said, so the reason I'm in the panel, and because, like I said, you could go to any switch in the system, but it's got to be coming out of the B panel, and there's no way to really know that. So I feel it's safer to come to the panel and do it directly at the B panel only to pull the schedule. So what we're going to do is take the remote, and there's a number of menus, and we're going to go down, 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 more, down, to where it says panel setup. And then I press the large button. It says point to NER enabled device, which we're using this. So roughly I'm going to aim it right about there. And it just gives me some setup information which you could verify. Location settings, I'm just going to press that. And it does say New York. I'll go down over to done, because I'm not going to change that. And you can check the date and time, or it's easier to check it, just go to panel status, which will also give you the panel time. It's right now, it's going to verify that it's correct. It gives me the time of 8:43, September 2nd, and that's all correct. It also gives me the sunrise time and the sunset time, because we just previously told it, or it knows we're in New York. Now, the programming is down to where it says panel programming. So I'm going to press that, and then I either have schedules or holidays. I'm going to leave it, it's already highlighted on schedules, and it just reminds you you're at the first floor B relay panel. So I'm going to press that. So each schedule in its terms is an event. So to turn lights on, that's an event. To turn lights off, that's an event. So in this case, we're using just 2 events. Event 1 to turn lights on, and event 2 to turn lights off. So what I've done is I wrote that down and typed it out, and what I'll do is I'll just leave this in this panel when we're done. But just to remind you so it doesn't get confusing, I may use the term schedule interchangeably, and you know the word schedule is on there, but it's really an event. So event 1, 7 a.m. goes to normal hours. So we don't use the term on or off, we use normal. And then here in the parentheses is what it does. Lights turn on and public switches are locked out. I say public switches, meaning the lights, the switches in the med prep and in the bedrooms, they all still work. They don't get locked out. These are just the ones that are exposed in the corridor and the lobby. Event 2 is 8 p.m. and that goes to after hours, not off. So after hours, but what that actually means is lights turn off and all the switches will now function as on-off switches, as you would expect. Okay. So I'll leave that in here and let's go over if you want to change these times. So we left off here under event 1, that's the first one that came up. So the next thing down is the type. Type meaning normal hours, after hours. There are other choices, there's on, there's off, but we're not using those because it won't change the mode of the switches. Next thing down is time. In this case it's 7:00. This is in 24-hour format. So for 7 a.m., yes, we want to see 7:00. And then the group, and what this is actually doing is this, at this event at 7 a.m., it's going to normal hours for a group. That group is 1. There's not a lot of groups in this system. So always make sure that's 1. If it gets changed, but it should always be at 1. So group 1 is the corridor lights, the lobby lights, etc. But if I wanted to change the time, I would just go back up to the time. Let's say I did want to make it, say 9 o'clock. I use the up and down arrows, and then I use the sideways arrows to change it to 9 o'clock. Then go down to, if I want to exclude a day or add a day, there's something here that says active days. If I press active days, it gives me all 7 days, well actually plus holidays, and there's a Y or an N that could be by. Right now I have all 7 days plus all holidays as yes. So that means the time is the lights are going to turn on and off as we were talking about all days. But if you wanted to exclude the holidays, which I didn't think you did, because it's a hospital, you would just go down the holidays and just use the arrows to put an N there, and then I would send that. So I'm going to put it back to yes. So hit done when you're done changing it. It doesn't send it yet, it's just you've just edited the scheduled days. So I'm going to set this back to 7 so that I don't inadvertently send it to 9, but as you saw I changed it to 9. And then the last thing you do is go over to the word send, and I'm going to press send, and I would press send again, and it would make the change. So let's go to event 2. That would be our after hours at 8 p.m. So go back, I'll just do it all over so you can see what we did. So starting at the home button, which is the top menu, go down to panel setup, and then panel programming, and then schedules. And it always starts with event number 1, whether it's used or not. So this way I would now use the right arrow, change it to 2. Nothing changes until I use the down arrow. Then it wants me to aim it and point it again, and then it'll pull event 2's information. So now you can see what's under event 2, just like we wrote down. Event 2 goes to after hours and then I said it's in 24-hour time clock, so it says 20 for time, 20, and group 1 also, because we want to change that same group. So if I wanted to change it from 8 o'clock to maybe 7 o'clock, I would change the 20 to 19 and send. Same thing, active days, it should be the same days. If you turn them on, I would turn off the same days. So that's the same there. Done? in this case, on the first floor, we're only using 2 events, so if I was just to show you, if I go to 3, there should be nothing there. It just defaults to off as your first choice, but as you can see, there's no time there, there's no group there, so it really means there is no event 3. Okay, so that's how you change the time. I'm going to leave this sheet in the panel, and we're going to next go to the second floor, and I'll show you how to change that. That one, we have more schedules in it. Okay, we're on the second floor in the electric room, and we're going to do the scheduling for the second floor, third floor, fourth floor, and fifth floor. That's all coming out of this panel. Same as the first floor. In this case, on the second floor, you could actually do what I'm going to do on any device on this floor. Well, I should say any device that's not in a what we call standalone room. Like you can't do it in the activity room or something like that, because that's not connected to this. But anything in the lobby or the corridor will access this. But play it safe to get you in the habit of just using the panels, so you don't get confused on the first floor with the other 2 panels. We'll go right to the panel. So same thing, we're going to aim it at the same spot. Just to recap, we're going to go to the same area, go down to panel setup, and just to confirm, let's just go through this again. Location settings, let's just make sure. Okay, so it says New York. That's good. Time and date, I'll just hit that again, make sure it's correct. The year and the time is correct. And so panel status will give us everything we just looked at. It won't give us the location, but it gives us the sunrise and sunset. So that'll give you a ballpark idea that it knows we're in the right area. All right, we're done. So what I came up here for is to show you the time scheduling, and we're going to go into that. Again, go into schedules and hit that. Let me get the cheat sheet for you. Okay, so in this case, what I did was I created a different schedule for each floor, just in case in the future they decide that they want the different floors on different schedules. Maybe the 5th floor isn't occupied and they don't really need the lights on all day long at night. So that's why I did it that way. And because you really can't name the schedules and anything efficient, you just use the word event. So what I did was event 2, there is no event 1. Event 2 represents the second floor on. Event 3 represents the third floor, well, I shouldn't say on, normal. 4th represents the 4th floor, normal time. 5th. Then I made the 12th, basically it's the same, it's event 2, I just added a 1, that represents the after hours. 13, 14, 15 for after hours. That's my train of thought on this. That's why it's kind of appears random, but now that you understand my method. Okay, so now it becomes the same as what we did on the first floor. So we'll go in, let's just go to something other than 1 and 2. So let's go to 5. So as I was saying, 1 does come up, but it defaults to off, and it has no time and it has no group. So we're going to go use the right arrow to 5, and then go down, and then it tells you, it reminds you to point to the IR. So now, event 5, normal hours, 7:05. No, I'll have to edit this. I made it 7:05. and that is group 5. I'm going to edit this before I leave it, and because in order to do the four floors individually, there are different groups. So the 5th floor is group 5. Everything else being the same. So you would change the time, but make sure if you're in event 5, it's going to be group 5 because we're only affecting the 5th floor. Even though we're doing this from the 2nd floor, this panel runs all 4 floors. So I'll go up to 15 now, just to show you we're still using group 5. So 15 is after hours at 8:05, and that's group 5. Let's go to 2. So event 2 is the 2nd floor, normal hours, 7:02, group 2. So your group 2 represents the 2nd floor, group 3 is the 3rd floor, group 4 is the 4th floor, group 5 is the 5th floor. And the reason I staggered the time, and maybe it's not really necessary with LEDs, I just been doing this for a long time, is to keep the load down so that if I was to do 4 floors all at the same time, turn lights on at 7 o'clock on all 4 floors, it's a lot of inrush. It's probably unnecessary, it's just a habit of how I've been doing this for years, just to stagger floors by the minute. You could change this or just leave it, it's already in there. Okay, but that's why you'll see just odd times. 7:02, the 3rd floor is 7:03, the 4th floor is 7:04, 5th floor is 7:05 as we started. So that's why I did that. It's probably not critical with LEDs anymore. Okay. And that is, so that's everything on to do the 2nd through 5th floor panel. You can go into other panels and try to, well, you can, it'll let you schedule it, but it's only going to conflict with this panel. So I suggest don't go to the 3rd floor, 5th floor, and do this. It'll let you enter stuff and create stuff, but it will just confuse the system in general. So do everything from the 2nd floor. We're still on the 2nd floor. Right now we're in a little back of house corridor where the electric closet was. But I just want to show you everything I just showed you in the panel, as I was stating. Any device that has an infrared little window here, you could do the same thing. So I'm going to do the same routine. Go down to panel setup. And I get the same information: location, date and time, panel programming, schedules. I'll scoot over to 2, go down, and we're back where we were. So event 2, normal, hours, 7:02, group 2. So I just wanted to show you that you can also do what I just did from within the panel. Let's say you can't get in that room, it's locked, you could do it here. But one thing to keep in mind, on the 1st floor, it's got to be the switches that are fed out of the B panel. So just to give you a clue, that would be anything in that elevator lobby is tied back to the B panel. So if you can't get in an electric closet and you need to change a schedule, use one of the switch plates in the elevator lobby, the main elevator lobby. That's a safe bet that that one goes back to the B panel. Anything else is, it may, we don't know where you wouldn't know where the crossover is, so don't do it anywhere else. Okay, so that's just a little hint for you.